Evening, Smith. Yeah. For today's session, I would like to invite the Secretary from the Ethos Foundation to take the session forward. I think they are. Good morning, dear educators and students. Good morning, dear educators and students, and thank you for joining us today. On behalf of Ethos Foundation, in association with the Rainmatter Foundation, we are delighted to welcome you to our Master Speaker Series 3. I am Architect Priyanka from Ethos Foundation, and it is my pleasure to have you all with us today. We warmly welcome each one of you and are excited to begin the session together. This series grew out of an ongoing effort and conversations with faculty across institutions, listening to challenges, questions, and aspirations for teaching. One thing emerged clearly. There is a need for a space that supports educators, encourages reflection, and brings in voices that can deepen academic practice. That intention is what shaped the series. In architectural education, theory and practice are often viewed separately. Theory tends to remain within history books and lecture halls, while practice is confined to the technical exercises of the studio. This divide can produce individuals who connect it meaningfully to practice. If we hope to cultivate students capable of holistic thinking and synthesis, we must begin by addressing the root of this fragmentation, the pedagogy itself. Today's workshop, led by Professor Neelkanth Chhaya, seeks to explore space of bridging this gap. Drawing from his decades of experience in both architecture and teaching, this session invites us to rethink our role as educators, moving from being mere deliverers of content to becoming designers of meaningful learning experiences. The aim is to create a shared learning space for faculty and students where theory becomes a lens for observation and reflection, shaping and enriching design practice. We have successfully completed 2 sessions. Session 1 titled Framing Project Briefs in a Design Studio and its Assessment, led by architects Nehanshul Mukherjee, and Masterclass 2 on AI, responding to the demand to know more about AI in pedagogy, led by architect Anurakti Yadav. This is our 3rd session and the first hybrid session in the series. Before we begin, we would like to extend our sincere thanks to Savita College of Architecture and Design for graciously hosting this session and supporting this initiative. Now, I request Professor Harini from Savita College of Architecture and Design to introduce our speaker, Professor Neelkanth Chhaya. Welcome to everyone over here. I'm honored to introduce Professor Neelkanth Chhaya. Professor Neelkanth Chhaya has been an academic and practicing architect for over 4 decades. He taught at Set University, Ahmedabad, retiring in 2013 as the Dean of the Faculty of Architecture. Subsequently, he has taught at Srishti Manipal Institute of Art and Design and Technology, Bangalore, where he did UNESCO chair, where he held UNESCO chair in Sustainability, Heritage and Livelihoods. He is an academic advisor at CARE School of Architecture, Tiruchirappalli, and Avani Institute of Design at Kozhikode. He initiated the Connected Collaborators for academic interaction of students and faculty members between SE Mumbai, WCFA Mysore, CARE Trichy, and Avani Kozhikode. He was named the first recipient of Balakrishna Doshi Guru Ratna Award. 2 collections of his talks have been published by Akarna Foundation, Tiruvannamalai. He is author and editor of the book Harnessing the Intangible, on the work of architect Balakrishna Doshi. He has participated in many international and national conferences in the fields of architecture and human habitation. We are truly honored to have you with us today, sir, and deeply grateful for the opportunity to learn from your experience and insights. Now I request Principal of SCAD, Professor Jyoti Lakshmi, to felicitate this time. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, Professor Harvey. With that, it is now my pleasure to introduce someone who has been a strong voice for socially responsive and inclusive design. Architect Geeta Balakrishnan, the founder of Ethos and the founding trustee of Ethos Foundation, is committed to making design socially responsive and inclusive. A graduate of SPA New Delhi and trustee of Arcause, she has actively promoted designing with empathy and designing for all through her initiative Walk for Arcause. Across 6 editions, including a recent 100-kilometer walk in Goa, as part of the International Purple Fest that promotes inclusion and accessibility, she has walked over 2,900 kilometers across 14 plus states, engaging communities and raising awareness. Her first journey is chronicled in 1770, published by Rupa Publishers. Geeta has been a speaker at over 200 events, including TEDx, and is known for her advocacy and thoughtful, empathic, and sustainable design. Her contributions have earned her multiple accolades, including the Women of the Year Award in 2023 by Dia Bild. Through her work, Geeta continues to bridge this gap between design and social responsibility, inspiring a generations of architecture and change makers. Now I request Gayatri Ratnam Rajesh to kindly come up to the podium to felicitate architect Geeta Balakrishnan. Thank you, ma'am. I request Geeta Balakrishnan, Professor Chhaya, and Professor Jyoti Lakshmi to please take your seat. Geeta, you can stay. Yeah. Maybe because of the
Yeah, Chhaya sir has seen my presentation a little bit before. Yeah, it's changed a lot since we met. I think just after the walk in 2022. I'd like to show you what's happened since then. And yeah, I'd like to thank this college for hosting us and hosting this session. Really happy to see this morning that I think this event has brought together faculty who haven't met in a little while, who were students together in some college and so on, and we're meeting after very long. So we are also hoping to build this as a network, and it's really nice if you continue to be in touch and exchange information as you go along, because I think the strength is in us sharing and growing together. So I'm just going to take you through the reasons for us doing this. I think this is not really working. I'm doing this. I'm going to quickly take you through why we're doing this before we. That's okay. That's all right. It's fine. Yeah. So I think many of you have heard about the walk. I'll just quickly show you some pictures of what happened before I. This was on the 6th day of the walk, and it still continues to give me goosebumps being at the community, learning from the community. And you'll see, I don't know, here you see very beautiful homes, but the building that we met in was a raw, unfinished brick and concrete home. And that's what's happening to most of what we've seen around. And I think we are also responsible for some of that. And that kind of brought us to this design responsibility compass that just put together, where we have 6 action areas that we are focusing on, and we'd like our a community to look at also. And I'll quickly take you through the different action areas as we go along. Other is one of them where we are saying, access to design should be a right. We talk about roti, kapda, or makan, makan being so it's one of the 3 essentials. But it's just a building that we are talking about there, but not design, not problem solving, not access to knowledge, and like we all know that design has become a luxury and only people who can afford it kind of have access to it. How can we make it more accessible? And I think we all have a role to play in that. Some of your colleges were involved in this project, and I'm again grateful to all of you. We did this little school building in Chennai, in the outskirts of Chennai last year, which was a government school. And CSR company came to us and said, "You're willing to fund it." But they said, "Why don't you just get a contractor and get it done?" And we said, "No, we do it only if we can work on the process." So we got students of architecture to go and spend time at three government schools to do a need assessment. And it was very interesting when these students came back, and they were a little flummoxed because they had problems like, how do you stop snakes from coming into the site? These are problems that don't appear in a classroom, right? When you're teaching in a classroom. How can you stop cows from coming in, intervening in their play area? And how do you work with these problems, and how do you resolve them? So these students actually had a 2-day workshop with architecture led Biju Kudyakos and Natarajan Venkat Suresh. And then they worked over a period of 2 months with the architects and put together a small. It was only upgradation. It was not redesign really. It was not completely redesign. So it was only upgradation. So what we could do best is what we did with what we had. The second action area is both. It's called building on design heritage. And we focus on traditional wisdom here. Very often when we speak of a new city or a town, or in the identity of it lies often with the large monuments that we talk about. But we don't, I think history is told very unequally when you're talking from that lens, because those monuments were accessible only to a certain section of society at the time that it was built, and even today for that matter. And how can we actually tell history from the lens of everybody? And for me, the lens of the vernacular, of the common living people's homes is what I believe. I call them invisible monuments, and I think that's something that we need to talk about. A little nugget is when I was walking through a village called Dharra in Madhya Pradesh, 2 brothers showed me their home. And it was very interesting that they talked about extract from a rice crop, and they talked about it being anti-termite treatment. I've gone and scoured the internet, checked, everywhere, and I haven't found that. So this is a wealth of information that lies, and I think when Jajivan, the man who showed me the place, dies, it's going to go with him unless we get together and start documenting some of this stuff at least. And that's the objective of both. Udita is something I think many of you have been participating with us on. Universal design is the answer. And this came about because of my experiences on day 51 of my walk, where I was I was expected to meet this Harshvardhan Dubey, who had a visual impairment. And when I reached his house after walking 28 kilometers, a young man received me, ran up the steps, took me to the room above, opened the latch, switched on the fan, put out the gadda, took out his harmonium, and said he's going to sing for me. And I said, "Excuse me, I'm really tired. Can we keep this short? I want to meet Harshvardhan." And he said, "I'm Harshvardhan. I'm the person with the visual visibility." And I said, "How did you manage all this?" He said, "As long as I'm in my house, I'm great. But the minute I step out, the society has made it impossible." And I think if I was to ask all of you, how many of you have done a course or understand how to design for universal design for persons with disabilities, I don't know how many of us will be able to answer that appropriately, because our curriculum does not mandate something. And it's essential that we start doing things beyond our curriculum just because these things need to be included. So this walk from Chennai to Bangalore was focused on accessibility. I don't know how many of you here, everybody would have been to the Marina Beach, right? Now, this particular structure that you see is actually there on Marina Beach. It's called the Empowerment Corridor. I don't know how many of you have noticed it. It's a corridor that has been built for people with disabilities to be able to access the water with as much ease and as much dignity as people otherwise walking. So it's a matter of simple design that actually allows them to access the water. And it's one of the few beaches in India. Now, Rainmatter Beach also has one. One of the few beaches that has a corridor like this. And this lady can take her child on the wheelchair every day for her therapy. And the boy in the red shirt behind is actually visually impaired. And he can walk without assistance because there are railings to this. I think I was told when we walked at least that this was the only bridge or corridor on a beach which has railings in the world. So yeah, we simple thought and that was it, right? And the government also pitched in and made this happen. We're doing various things with the different clubs where we're getting people to engage and understand this sector. There's a very interesting anecdote here that I'd like to share. This was when I walked in Gujarat from Singapore to Gandhinagar. And I don't know Gujarati. I met this young lady, actually both hearing and speech impaired. And I was able to converse with them because I knew sign language. When I planned off the walk in Chennai, I took an oath that I will learn sign language by the end of 2024. And I actually took a course and learned it. So I was able to converse with them with ease, but I could not converse with the others who knew Gujarati and who could hear and speak because I didn't know Gujarati. The point I'm trying to make here is it's just a barrier that it's another language and it's something that we can easily learn. So the disability is not so much in the person, it's in the system that creates these barriers, and that's something that we need to. We created a course. It's called Beyond Tax and Ratings, the Udita course. Some of these QR codes are there, and we try and send them to you over WhatsApp as well, so you can make it accessible to all your students. I think it'd be great to make it mandatory that they actually take this basic course on universal design and equip themselves. We ran a little prompt recently on social media. It was how to design playgrounds for children with disabilities to make them inclusive. And we were very encouraged with the response. And we had we had Kavita Krishnamurthy. I don't know how many of you know of her. Kavita Krishnamurthy is an activist in Chennai who designed parks in Sanpo and the Infinity Park. I don't know exactly where, but the Infinity Park as well, which has equipment for children with all kinds of diverse abilities to be able to use. And she was one of the judges. And you'll see that entry that actually one goes back to being just a chalk with no equipment, because the minute you introduce anything to assist somebody or excluding somebody else. So she's gone back to, we've gone back to recognizing that just having a platform where everybody can sit and play or regular games becomes something that kids enjoy. But then, of course, the second winner was from PSG Coimbatore and the third was from Delhi. And it running various other prompts like this as well. Coming to our next action area, which is construction workers, I think there's no need for me to stress on the importance of dissolving the distance between us as architects who design and those that build construction workers. And we have 3 projects under this which are focused on Maharashtra, Rajasthan, and Gujarat. Students of architecture have been doing surveys. We've done 714 surveys across these 3 states to understand their lives and got very interesting insights where we are told that less than 30% of them have ever spoken to an architect on the site. That just goes to show how removed we are. And when we talk about who aspires to become an architect, or if people who are building our buildings don't know of us, don't know of our existence, then you can forget anybody else really knowing about us. We are also doing videos where students and young architects have gone recording construction workers talking about their craft. We'd like you to see if you can include them into your building construction classes. We have about 80 videos in total that will be released very soon. As of now, there are 37, and we're working on editing them. So this is also something that we will make accessible to all of you. There are colleges that have already included it in their building construction curriculum. And here we have conducted a whole lot of workshops. I think this data has not been updated yet, but a lot more than 16 workshops on financial literacy, on health, or design, drawing literacy, etc., for construction workers in the future. Sustainability in action and thought is SAT. I don't think I need to stress on that because I think all of us are working in our own way. But again, questioning ourselves on what really is that sustainability and that is rooted in the context is something that we need to ask ourselves. There's a lot we're doing. We've been giving out grants for the youngsters to work on building prototypes, on experimenting, on understanding. So if there's any great idea that you'd like to come up with and put together as a proposal to us, we could consider supporting it as well. Swades is our next action area, which is called See Value in Design. Taking architecture and design to schools is what we do through this. As we speak, we've reached 75 schools where architecture students have been going to different educational institutions talking about design. And this is not only from the lens of career counseling, but I think it's important for students at that level to also know, because then they ask the right questions when they become adults. And we've reached about 70,000 students because of this movement. And we have still another 30 schools because we have our target of 100 schools to be reached. So if you students want to do this for us, please join in. We'll be happy to include you in this as well. We've had people from the Gans Uti to this girl who's gone the circ, and she's been going to every school in Uti, reaching out for others. One Nashik, Hyderabad, Chennai. And we had a beautiful workshop recently in Delhi, and we're planning another one in Coimbatore where we invite many of you to, planning another one in Bangalore where we invite many of you to join us, where this conference was not in a conference room. It was on the streets of Delhi. We identified 7 NGOs that took the delegates, and most of the delegates were colleges, students, and young professionals to understand that there is life beyond regular commercial architecture, and how also that commercial architecture need not be separate from the social, how it needs to be integrated with the social. So we had sessions with interactions with waste, with inclusive cities, talked about safety, accessibility. We did two groups did accessibility audits. One did a walk of Shahjahanabad to review living heritage, and they also mapped settlement that was along the drain. So there were a lot of interesting activities which, again, students and youngsters do not get exposure to in the public school. Really, the city became our classroom, and these NGOs are doing some fabulous work that got exposed. That these delegates, we were 60, 70 of us, I think more actually over 2 days, 100 of us that got exposed to it. We have about 60 colleges that have signed MOUs with us. Some of you are here today, and we are working actively and intensely with these colleges to achieve various objectives. Under the project that we are, where Rainmatter is our CSR partner, we are working with educators, we are working with future professionals, which is students, looking at their career paths, looking at responsible design and how to mainstream it rather than look at it as an alternative, and how to amplify this whole impact. And we'd like all of you to help us with that. If you know of projects that are in this special space, please reach out to us. There is a form that we have you can fill up. We'd like to amplify this because we need to really tilt that narrative towards this. Right now, the narrative is market driven. And how can it be driven through what we believe is right? And today, here we are on the educators' insights, the faculty-led collaborative intern. So we started with a survey. We started with focus group discussions. Actually, we did 4 themes, and then we went on to do a survey And there were many interesting insights that came up on this. And 57.4% of the faculty actually said that uh, the practice realm was a little shaky as far as they were concerned. And that is why this session today with Neelkanth Chhaya ji is so important. And we really hope, I know I've seen it before and I've seen his sessions and they're so animated that I think all of you are sitting quiet just now, but all of you will be dancing by the end of the 2 hours that he's going to be with you. We had Snehanshu and Anuragdi speaking earlier. We'd like to share the QR codes with you because they're available on our website for you to watch even later. For faculty, we're doing spot fixes where we've chosen two all women colleges in one in Delhi and one in Pune to also talk about women in this field, to understand how they curate their journeys and how we are on the brink of Women's Day, but also to talk about what happens on site when there are no facilities or when there are social pressures. How to, and it's very easy to say no, it's not part of our profession, but there is actually a very serious, deep link between the profession and the personal space when it comes to some of these things. And we're taking that forward and we're doing a workshop in both these colleges. And we're also having a session on March 12th where Madhuri Desai and Rosie Paul will be speaking on gender realities of everyday urban spaces. This is a virtual session where many of you usually sign in as a college. We'd be happy to see you. We're doing an Arcause Writers Collective. This is in Bangalore on 23rd and 24th. Looking for writers writing for non-architects. Usually they're trained to write for the space of architects, but how do you reach out to non-architects? You're getting ex-telegraph journalist and an ex-corporate communications person, a photographer, and how to write in the vernacular. These are things that we're going to address there. So there are eight spots for outstation candidates where we can arrange for accommodation. This is not only for students, it's for faculty, it's for architects, anybody who wishes to be part of it. And we're doing a workshop like a relay race starting day after, which is on universal design. It's an elective for 3 colleges. The three experts are coming from outside Bangalore, and they will actually be hopping between colleges where they're running these electives for different colleges. They're also running a student mentorship program that's in Odisha and something in Gulbarga on software and using software for sustainable design. And we're open to any of you coming to us and saying you have a problem that you'd like to fix and can we bring in an expert or curate something. We'd be happy to do that with you and for you. We'd like you, this is the showcase, so if there are any projects that you think fit into any of these areas that I've been talking about, please share them with us because that's how we're going to amplify and create a repository. We did a survey on professional readiness and career preparedness, and we're curating events for that. And yes, you will find us here. I think many of you already follow us. And I think the day that we all begin to look at this responsibility, design responsibility campus, and come together, I think for the cause of responsible design, it'd be great because it's actually our cause and our responsibility. With that, I'd like to hand it over to Professor Chhaya, who will take forward this session. I'm sorry if I took it too long, but I thought it was essential to serve the conference.
It's very nice to be with all of you, fellow students of architecture, and all of you. After Geeta's detailed, not detailed, but a brief look at what they are doing, I think Arcause is doing everything that I'm going to talk about, but in much more active manner. I'm going to talk about it, but they are actually doing it. But still, because all of us are We are, in a way, in the business of knowledge. Nowadays, everything is a business. So we are in the business of knowledge. We are in the business of knowledge either as providers of knowledge or consumers of knowledge. And it's important that we get away from that way of thinking. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. So we are in the field of knowledge. Yes. The field is different from business. Business wants to get maximum out of it. You invest and you get returns. That is business. But in the field, what happens in the field is that there are hundreds of organisms. All kinds of different organisms are there. There might be butterflies, there might be birds, there might be bacteria, there are plants, there are animals, there are humans. All of these are in the field and they are mutually supportive and mutually competitive. That's really that in nature, the field is this is wonderful musician where organisms are getting from each other something. They are supporting each other. Like the birds depend upon the grass to make their nest. And the butterflies depend upon the nectar. And human beings depend on the insect. Everybody has got certain relationships of mutual interdependence, but also of mutual competition. And for example, if we find in our house a rat, we try to remove the put it somewhere. We don't normally kill it because I think we all feel that it's a living being nothing, but we try to make some other home for it. Of course, I remember once I caught a rat at my house in Ahmedabad, and I was very angry with Gujarat University for doing certain things. They had sort of removed one forest. So I thought, let me punish Gujarat University. So I went and released the rat right there. So that it went into Gujarat University. So this kind of thing is okay, we can do it. But so there is mutual interdependence, there is competition. And we are in a field in which knowledge is one of the things with which this mutual interdependence and mutual competition occurs. But knowledge is a very restless. Knowledge never comes to an end. Newton thought he had found out everything about gravity. Till Einstein came, and then Einstein thought he had found everything about the forces. And the rainbow came, and it keeps on changing or expanding. So knowledge is so in architecture, if we think that we have discovered everything that has to be discovered, and we now have a book in which the knowledge is put, and I can give that knowledge to you, and you will become an architect. Sorry, it will never happen because knowledge is restless. Knowledge is always breaking out of the boundaries that we set. Knowledge will not stay within the degree certificate that you get. In the end, it will say, hey, what you are holding a degree? Come, I'll show you now. Solve this with that. Yeah, COVID told us the same thing. No? All the doctors have got degrees. They've got MBBS, FRCS, everything. And then COVID came, all of them were what happened. So there is always something which is the next step of knowledge. And knowledge will never stay still. So a place of education, a place of learning, is a place of explosive happening. All the students are well behaved and are sitting there gasping. But inside, there is something going on. I remember when I was a student and there was a teacher, and I would be sitting very like I was one of the front bench people, so well behaved. But in my mind would be going, stupid fellow, you don't know this one. Huh? So the teacher is a kind of a temporary nomenclature that we give to someone who has had more years of learning. And we have had slightly more years of time. So let us put away the word teacher. I think the schools will be very happy with this. And teachers also, some of us will be very happy. We are free from that terrible responsibility of seeing that he becomes a qualified architect. Or he doesn't become a Christian person. Right? What a horrible responsibility. So, none of us are teachers. None of us are, what is it? Students, we are. All of us. Because we want to learn. So, let us talk about this restless knowledge. Falls into two categories. One is knowledge, which is sort of precipitated. You know what precipitation is, no? Chemistry, you must have said. Double decomposition, precipitation. So it becomes useful for next. So some knowledge is precipitated and becomes knowledge which becomes useful in reality, in practical problems. So if I'm designing a staircase, then over the years, somebody came with this formula which said 2R plus T. You remember? 2R plus T is equal to 24 or something like that. I forgot. But so trend to riser to trend ratio is like this. This is something that has come down for maybe 300 years, maybe more. Yeah? Or yard. Before meter, there was yard. In Gujarati, we call it bar. I don't know in Tamil also there must be something. But it was measured like this. I don't know if you remember. When you bought a sari or a dhoti, it was measured from this to the end of this finger was 1 yard. So it came from the word. But once it came, it was standardized. So, to a certain degree, that standardization is a useful knowledge till you need to do something more precise. So, they came up with a meter, they put a rod of platinum in Paris at a certain temperature, and that is the meter. But then they found no, even that keeps on changing. So they now define it in terms of the speed of light. And that too may become too crude a measure. So, but there will be a need for some practical measures. So, one of the things that you learn in the learning process are practical measures. Steps is certified like this, this comes from there. Your ramp should be of so much slope to so much slope, etc. Yeah, those things we get. But there is another kind of knowledge which is which happens when there is a challenge to the existing forms of knowledge. So, for example, climate change will happen, and there is going to be a challenge. We won't have enough water. So, what are we going to do about water in architecture? Because everything was designed as if water is enough. Huh? Too much water is there in Calcutta. How much water? Too much. Huh? But now you say every drop. Then you say, but in some places there will be too much. There will be too much. So the both of our whole sense of response of settlements, response of buildings, response of verandas, response of everything will have to change because now our climate is going to change. And this challenge is asking for new forms of knowledge, which demand a certain imagination. Everybody thinks imagination is making sort of funny looking things, But imagination is something different. Imagination takes the ordinary, which is being challenged, and modifies it a little bit. For example, I'm told there was no such thing as Sabbath in Tamil Nadu. You will be shocked.
Right here.
Uh-huh.
Right here.
Yes, I know. But it's a fact, it's historically written. So Sambhaji, who was ruling Tanjore, earlier called Tanjore. So Sambhaji was fond of cooking and he used to make a Maharashtrian dish called amti, which means mango something with tunda. Right? But he didn't have mango. Right? Yeah, it was
Welcome, yeah.
yeah, welcome. So he didn't have the ingredients. What to do? Tamarind was available. And some masalas he could make. And he thought, let me throw in some vegetables. And sambar came. It was the challenge of not having the ingredients, not available. And he had already invited 20, 30 people for lunch. So what to do? How will I give that lunch? So he made a sambar and it was a hit. Suddenly it became something which nobody had ever eaten before. I don't know if that happens to you at times. That's something that you do in order to solve a problem suddenly becomes a hit. If that doesn't happen to you in class, sometimes it happens in class also. Like you say, yeah, this teacher, okay, I can do this. And then the teacher comes and says, oh, really? Wonderful. What? Yeah, it's very nice. Very nice. Has it happened to you? Sometimes, once in a while. So the challenge creates the imagination which will overcome the deficits, the problems, the challenges. Imagination is also a form of knowledge, just as uh, stored knowledge, which is uh, precipitated out of experience, is another form. So when you learn music, they make you sing sa re ga ma pa da ni sa, huh? And that's the same note, right? That you start sang it, that book, go, not like that. Go. All of them are singing the same, they are just running that one, go. So then as students, you think, what is this? These teachers, they are only making me go through this. They will never do my own. Like I said, but does it happen when I speak Tamil or when I speak Gujarati? Huh? Suppose I say, I'm tired of using this language every day the same, every day the same. What should I do? So I start saying, Guna Baba, Bachipo. There is no fancy language. Even the highest author continues to use that idiotically repetitive language that has been given to him or her by her culture. She only used the words that are normal here. What's the point? What is so imaginative about that? Why are they making her such a? Why did she get Nobel Prize for literature? Ah, yeah, what happened? So the learning process is one part which uses the conventions but uses them imaginarily. Imagination is not a denial of convention. Convention is the stepping stone for coming to. So now, as teachers or as advanced learners, we have a responsibility to convey to those who are less advanced learners something that we have done, but never think that we are teaching them something which will hold for the rest of their lives. From that, they will come up with something new. So, where does imagination come from? Am I talking too much? You want someone to draw, you said, on culture. Yeah, it will come. But talking is very easy. And if you would implement things already one thing to look. Talk. No, it's different. No, not that. That, I guess, I really not that. I will think inside. So, there used to be a famous philosopher by the name of Michael Pollan. And he wrote a book. He wrote a silly book, but in two very famous books. One is called Personal Knowledge, and the other is called Tacit Knowledge. Amartya Sen has written the book, he pays for tacit knowledge. It is published in India. Very, very good book. So, what is, if I say in one sentence what Michael Pollan was saying, he said one sentence. Tacit knowledge is that knowledge which can be shown but cannot be told. Tacit knowledge is that knowledge which can be shown but cannot be told. For example, I was talking to the students earlier, and if I have to make a temper, I have to temper some sabji or dal or sambar or something. Then the oil has to be at the right temperature, so we throw in the mustard and chili. If I get it wrong and I put it too early, then the mustard doesn't do anything. If it is too hot and I put it in, then mustard is burnt. Then I get that burnt smell. How do you know which is the right temperature? We don't stand with thermometers and say, I don't know. So passive knowledge. So let's do one short, very short exercise. Say, for example, can we have one student volunteer? Otherwise, I know this one boy who I can access straight away.
Other than fun.
Huh? So come here. So assume that Madam Jyotimani does not know how to ride a bicycle.
Yeah.
You have to teach her how to ride a bicycle. So do it by telling her.
Okay. Does it have any support or does it do it?
I just have to tell her how to ride a bicycle. Then after what you tell, she should be able to go out and ride a bicycle and go to another part of Chennai. More money or somewhere.
Yes, watching online.
Yeah. Teach her how to ride a bicycle.
So first I'll tell the components of bicycle. Because it's new.
Yeah.
So it has two tires and one handlebar, and you have to ride using the pedals. So
Others can ask questions. So, let us all imagine that we don't know anything. Huh? So now he's saying ride the pedals. So what is pedals? And then what do you mean by riding? Where do I sit?
in the seat.
Oh, there is a seat. Where is the seat?
Yeah.
Yeah. No, then I sit. Okay, sat. Then this bicycle is falling down. You please tell me.
We have to balance using our legs.
So I put one leg down here, one leg down, one leg down. Like this. This is the way to ride a bicycle.
That we have to select according to our height, the bicycle.
Yeah, but that means that I will never be able to do the pedals. I will only be good doing that. Is that good?
Yeah, first we have to learn how to balance the bicycle.
No, but how to learn?
Yeah, how to even
That's the
climb
main
the
thing.
side if he's got a middle bar. It will not be easy for him. How to even climb the side?
I'm wearing a sari.
Ah.
Very difficult question.
So here is one example.
Isn't there anything connecting?
Tacit knowledge
How many?
which cannot be told but can be shown. He can take a bicycle, put his leg over, or take a lady's bicycle in case she's wearing a sari, then put his leg like this. Then he said, now look, when you start pedaling, it's going to fall. So if it is falling on this side, turn the steering that way. So anyway, you will fall once or twice, thrice, but I'll be there. Don't worry. I'm holding. Huh?
Yeah. Then I'm there to hold.
So you are not telling, but you are showing.
Showing.
So that is what tacit knowledge. In architecture, how do you learn? Let's start with a simple thing. How many hinges there should be in a door? Oh, it's not simple. Huh? Door is 1.8 meters high. How many hinges? It's written in the books, no? You open ledger, I mean, what is it? Macket, 3 hinges, 1.5 bags. Yeah, it's funny, these English people here. They call it a pair of hinges, then this is 1.5 bags. But anyway, so I can say that, but suppose I get a door like Gurjit Singh got, which is 10 feet, 20 feet high. How many inches? And if I put 10 inches, will they all move in the same way? Maybe not. Little bit of school difference, whole thing goes. No, that means that I can only learn that by doing. Just the same way as I can only learn music by doing. I often do an exercise which maybe we should do now. So I'm going to start making a noise and you add at the same rhythm, or you can add more complicated rhythm, but it has to be rhythmic. Huh? Got it? So I start. That is a tacit learning about the pace of the music, and then tacit learning about multiples. Dividing 2, dividing 3, dividing 4, dividing 5. And the greatest Mridangam or tabla players can do 16 bits divided into 7. Huh? तीन तार ऊपर बढ़ाएगा. So that means that somewhere inside you, you've got, what is it? Your blood flow is giving time. Your heartbeat is giving time. All those are working to give us the sense of time, the sense of rhythm. In the same way, our hand, our arm, all those are giving proportions. Suppose I don't know if you have done this exercise. Just take a scan of a, no, take a photograph of your friend and stretch this way or stretch that way. Have you done? You must have done. All kids love doing it. Then that fellow looks utterly horrible, too fat or too thin, something like that. So the proportion sense is there in this to that, this to that, this to that. So such things cannot be taught. However hard I try, I cannot teach. But you can become alert. So that's the next. That imagination arises out of alertness. Now, this talk was supposed to be on the relationship between theory and practice. Where is it going there? Huh? So theory is that knowledge which has been passed down, precipitated, conventional, available for developing further, will become new knowledge after some time when somebody has worked on it. But theory is not final. So if you have got, let's say I've got a PhD in space in Indian temple architecture. I could have, but I didn't get it. It doesn't matter. So suppose I have that PhD. And then I see suddenly one temple in Madhya Pradesh, which is completely different. Or if I see it in Kerala, somewhere. Well, I went to a temple in Pudukottai, which is a cave inside a hill. Yeah, you've seen that temple. In the rock, there is the Garbhagriha is inside the rock. What happened to all the theory about temple architecture? So then, theory is a useful guide and must be there in order to practically conduct our lives. But practice raises up challenges which will not only allow the operation of theory. Again and again, that you thought you had got it from. Well, school design, you've done so many school designs. What is there in a classroom? Okay, 0.7 square meters per student, 40 students. So you got 28 square meters. Take 10% more. So let's make it 30 square meters, 30 square meter classroom, 30 square meter. Well, do I want square or do I want rectangle? Nothing. Then all that I want one classroom. So what is there in a school design? Huh? Then somebody says, stop. Wait. These are students who like to sit in groups like that. So now what will happen to your standards, architectural graphic standards, the book. And all of that goes out of the window. Huh? Because Tagore said, no classroom. I need a tree and I need the shade under the tree. I don't want a classroom. Come on, Mr. Tagore. I'm an architect. Please listen. I'm telling you, you need only 0.7 square meters. It says, student fellow, go. Huh? So the standards are used till a new kind of challenge is thrown to the standard. So there are, what are the models of, so let's just summarize this. There is knowledge, there is the challenge. New knowledge arises. That becomes a convention. There is a challenge. New knowledge arises. That becomes a convention. Keeps on happening. So every few years, somebody's sambar will come out different. Yeah, I'm sure it has happened in Tamil Nadu. Dosa is already suffering all kinds of
Cheese dosa.
spring dosa. I see other day I went to a restaurant. They said spring dosa. I said, what is spring dosa? It's like Chinese food inside the dosa. But then all these challenges will come. And some will stay. Like some doshas, people will really adopt them. It will happen. And some will, for 2 months, they will be fashionable. Then will be gone. Same way with architecture. Suddenly, very, what is it? Minimalistic. So today you are seeing everywhere. Ekdam very quiet, nothing happening. Then I go outside on the street and I look at that fellow selling vegetables and his lorry and how beautifully he has organized the brinjals and the green vegetables and red things and isn't not this? In India, if you go on the street, you will find 20 types of artists at work. And when we come to college, we are for modeling. That is street here. We are modernists. But then, should we then take up our tradition is being built with lot of carving and colors, and so let us make the department of dentistry have all those things. Sorry, but
Thank you for bringing it up.
so Ganesh is doing a is it a good idea? Or I can say, no, wait. There is something about the way Indians repeat something. I don't know if you have noticed. If you look at any of our clothes or any of our food, it will be repetition of one, like look at the dress. Huh? There's one motive which is repeated. Yeah. Many boys will be like that, girls also will be like that. Yeah.
Probably derivative of imitation.
Huh?
Derivative of imitation. We tend to imitate as well. So
Imitation. Okay.
They taught that in the first year of architecture, patterns between one.
Yeah. So we love this idea of saying. Look at it. In India, we do that all the time. You look at a Western symphony, it will start, first movement will reach a crescendo and then come down. Second movement will reach a crescendo, come down. Our music, for hours together, the fellow is playing. And one tabla player is repeating. And then the fellow plays a little bit different. So the tabla man also feels free to play a little bit different. Then again they start repeating. Our sense that we create the convention from which we can create the escapes is different from the European model, which creates the whole thing all at once. In our case, what is whole?
It's just put together.
Suppose I have a big dish of rice and one large bowl of sambar. Then I take some rice and some sambar onto my plate and go. So is it now 1/10 sambar less? Is it is it whole or not whole anymore? Like if I take a cake, if I cut a small part, anybody can know that some cake has been taken. Sambar, suppose I take and I took rice also. Very softly I took from the side, put. You won't know. So our sense of whole is a sense of multiplied. So the universe is again and again. Sun rises, sunset, sun rises, sunset, sun rises, sunset. Season 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. Winter, 6 seasons. And in Tamil Nadu, you have what? The 6 landscapes. Yeah? Sangam. Five. What other culture has these 5 landscapes? Only Tamil Sangam literature has. Huh?
North India also have.
North India, but not to that extent. North India, like the whole poetry, other poetry is based on that.
You have white, but seasons.
Season. Poetry and entire. So, what I mean is the aesthetic sense of the cyclical thing is something which is germane to our system. So when we say, in what way do I maintain a link with my past? It is not by copying the motives of the past, but it is by looking at the structure of the past. Because some teachers have asked that question, how do we maintain a certain continuity? And the continuity will be in terms of our sense of rhythm, our sense of proportion, our sense of long and short, like that. That if we maintain, then doesn't matter if I'm using steel or I'm using latest materials, many different kinds, it doesn't matter. So, from that, let us look at the learning places. So now I can use learn. I had thought I would use this more, but I felt a little lazy. So, black or blue, anything? Yeah. That's yeah. So one model is like this. I hope you're getting bored. This has to be a boring thing. Maybe that's true now. So one model is there is a person who contains all the knowledge, and there are containers, smaller ones, which have to be filled. Huh? So this is the classroom. Which I call the industrial model. Like university is a kind of industry for producing architects, engineers, doctors. So then you have industry ready. We are producing students, make the industry ready. So that straight away the industry says, okay, here is a spare part. She is good enough to be a spare part in this office. He is good enough to be a spare part in that factory. He is good enough to be a spare part in that hospital. She is good enough to be a spare part in spare parts. One of the models of education, learning places, is the industrial model. And the whole of contemporary government bureaucracies and market forces want all learning to become industrial. Yeah. It's very shocking. All of us who are teaching, we are subjected to some challenging thought. Am I just producing spare parts? Then the other model was this model, which you can call the model of discipleship. Or in India, we call it the Guru Shishya Parampara. Yeah. A lot of us older teachers, we like to be, we like to think that we are part of that Guru Shishya Parampara. I was a Shishya of Varki, and my Shishya, and my Shishya, his Shishya, her Shishya. Our Dharana is like, yeah. In some ways, a good system because at least it asks for a personalized relationship between the one who is conveying and the one who is trying to grasp. Now we have stopped using the word teacher as this is important. In the other case, there was what a facilitator, and I don't know what they are called. Students, do you know? Facilitating.
You see word?
Huh?
You see word?
No, but I'm talking about the bureaucracies or the management's way of looking at it. So there's no word there anymore. We suddenly became from teachers, we started being called facilitators. So our role is not to teach the student, huh? Our role is to help the student. And this student, when I was a student in first year, we had an American teacher who came to set. In those days, a lot of Americans were good person, really good teacher. And so Nikolai one day, there was jury, he said, well, I don't know, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm wrong. And I went outside and said, what the hell? If you don't take responsibility for what you are saying, then why are you sitting in that chair? So it is not so easy. It's not so easy to criticize this or that. He was right when he said, maybe I'm wrong. His openness was wonderful. But as a student, I felt, look, I'm paying fees here. You are being paid to teach me, and you are telling that you won't teach. No, some students might be feeling like that you are paying. So they better teach you. This is tacit knowledge. Yeah. Anyway, so this is second system. This third way of learning is this is how it used to be in the bazaar. So Socrates would be sitting in one corner, his rival would be sitting in another corner. There was one guy who never took a bath, but he would come to the market and he would always used to sit in a bucket. I forgot the name of that Greek philosopher. Aristotle. No, Aristotle was the academic. He started the first academy. But this was another philosopher. Always fellow. There many characters. He's sitting there in my class, Socrates is sitting there, somebody else is sitting there, third philosopher. They are each talking to some people who are gathered. Some people go from here to there and say, hey, Socrates is telling like this, do you think what do you say? And then some of them go there. No, the marketplace of ideas and knowledge. Today, with the internet, that marketplace can become really wonderful. But there is a systematic attempt to capture. So influencers come, then false news people come. But otherwise, the time of internet is a wonderful kind of flow of knowledge in all directions. Argument against that. Which means that the responsibility of both the dark blue circle, that is me and you, and the light blue circles, that is them, the responsibility on both sides increases. We become sort of participants in the explosion of knowledge. And we become participants in such an explosion of knowledge that there has to be more responsibility. That what I say to Maninder will make a difference to his students. And what Maninder says to me or to you or to her will make a difference to his room. And in turn, it will make a difference to the university. Like what we are just now, he was telling me that from that door, students from other departments come in, where they were doing that draping and in the design department, they come in. And they come, they look, and they go back to the department. And maybe one of them has got a little bit of courage to ask their faculty. They are making things, can't we make? Or they are trying all kinds of things, can't we do? And then the knowledge will change. So the knowledge which will move horizontally now, knowledge is to move vertically, knowledge will move diagonally, horizontally, anywhere and everywhere. Which means that theories and practice will both become dynamically interactive. I cannot sit in an architect's office and do everything and say, I don't care those quality people, they are just. I don't want this. And I can't sit in a college and say, look, they are just trying to make money. But they don't care about knowledge. They are spoiling everything. This kind of thing will have to change. What will change it will be? I wonder if one really puts attention to that, how our world is going to change. How our world of education. Huh? So, yes, we. Wow. That shows that this has been successful.
I
Yes, yes.
ask you a question. You talk of these things, but I will talk what the studios we are.
Yeah,
Love points.
yes.
So office, admin,
Yes, yes.
for this,
Yes.
and all of these. The students will pin to the walls because of platforms.
Mm.
So this is the scenario today that is happening inside the class. And I mean, probably when we were students, when I was in the internet came, I actually exchanged tokens for internet.
Mm.
So we were able to listen to long hours. We were able to listen to long hours. We were into books. We were into everything. But today's point of time, there is a teacher, who is an advanced learner. But there is a student who has got exposure to all the influencers, architects who are not architects teaching over the internet. And whether it is facts or whether it is not facts, they get succumbed to all information. So what will be the position of these advanced learners for to tackle this situation?
Yes.
Thank you for the
No, that is very good.
Give it to him. Give it to
Let us first look at the fate of all these before we look at the advanced learners. The beginner learners. Why did they go? Why did that screen become so important? Why did the screen become so important to my grandson, to my, you know, whoever is there in my family? Why did the screen become important?
It's more stimulating.
Huh?
It's more stimulating.
Most
Stimulating.
stimulating. Why is it stimulating? I am not stimulating. Yeah. So probably one of the things is that we have to flower and become so interested that from time to time from that screen they will look back. Let's say, "Oh, it's being acted. Well, let me go and see." We may have to change the classes from architecture to something else. Suppose see only movies in my class. What will happen? Suppose I said that I'm going to use the movies to look at cities. I'm to teach urban design and I will only work with movies. Or just now we were looking at the draping class that was going on. And I said, have you seen on YouTube, there is a website called Food Chutney. Have you seen Food Chutney? Food Chutney, yes. Yeah, actually. That Food Chutney is a Tamil website, but now they do it in English. And there is a South India one. There is one called the Waste. And there is that you should see that how they are making fun of both fashion, wasting, Tamilians themselves, and the world at large. Fantastic. Then there is one which is called South India 101, the banana leaf. And there is a very famous Kannada actor in that. There is a Kannada actor who is with that beard. I don't know if you have seen. I've forgotten the name of that actor. Yeah. All right. Sorry. Yeah. In that, you must see that. By the way, young people, go and see on Food Chutney, South India 101, the banana leaf. You will die laughing. Then look at the one called the Veshti. Then there are others, many others. Being from Tamil Nadu, you will enjoy all of them. I personally looked at these two, banana leaf and Veshti. Fantastic. So, into our classroom, there will have to be a change of face. Normally, a class used to go on for 45 minutes. And in 45 minutes, what all happened? And you can see that students are falling asleep now. Some are falling asleep, some have already fallen asleep. Happening. Huh? It will happen. But from time to time, noise has to come up and he will wake up.
That also answers the question we were talking about Gen Zs this morning.
Yes, Gen Z. Gen Z, they are not used to being treated like this. So, once I took a class in NID. And NID students, they are design students and they are very skeptical about all of this. So, they thought that, "Ye kya bolega?" Huh? I hope you can listen to that question. So, what if this man is coming from somewhere? So they are sitting at the back of the class. So then what I started doing is that I started walking. And I said, now look, this class, we are going to talk about, and then look at you. Look at you. So the thing is, if the student cannot come to us, we will go to the student. It is like when you are a child and he's not eating. Play, very playful. Goes here and there, go here and there. Khata nahi hai. Then you will go after. Then you will try and say, hey, come on, this is very nice. So this is it. And slowly the fellow will learn how to eat. These people will also learn how to look from the screen or choose something else. When we go close to them, and then yeah, it happens. And it will be a very fun thing. It won't be like, I'm here to punish you. It will be like, listen, you think I was not your age sometime? Huh? What is this? I learned from Doshi. Up to the end, up to 90 years old, he could behave as if he was just a kid. And I think that will make a reform in class. That class will change. The screens are there. Now you don't even need to go to the wall. Screen is available right there. Except for steps like me who don't have a screen. Huh? So in this, there's nothing coming. Except SMS. Yeah. So I can't. So my grandson gets very angry. He tries this phone, nothing comes. You know that from everybody else's phone, he will get photographs and he will get music. In my phone, nothing comes. And he really gets very angry with me and tells me off. So that also is a chance for conversation. When you when these people see this phone, they, what? They're using that. Then suddenly they say, I think it makes a lot of sense. The number of SMS that I get, or the number of WhatsApp messages, terrible. I can't see it correctly. So, happens not. Even while in class, WhatsApp messages will be going on. Then from time to time, when he's not looking, happens, you know.
And then a very nice
It's
quote
very-
today,
Huh?
and I got a very nice quote today saying the amount of screen time that you invest in is the time you're looking down in life.
See, let's hear it again. Can you give us the mic?
Although I'm doing that just now also, but the amount of time, screen time that you invest in life is the time you spend looking down.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. So nobody has tried to look at the day before yesterday, 3 days before, there was blood there before. Ah, slowly, the day before, beautiful show. Yeah. So all this kind of thing is happening. Then it is bound to happen. That is wrong. Enjoy and suffer both. Yeah. So it is part of your life. You think your children are going to be as easy to deal with as these things. They are easier.
It's not. One app, one Gen Beta has come up this year.
Yeah. Yeah. So now maybe I could take some questions like this one was wonderful. And any other comments, questions from anyone. And he is open to it.
So what about the third model, like interactions? Is there about interaction?
No,
You talked about the third one.
Yes.
The interaction between 6 and 6 and up and down vertical. So how we can, this are all kind of organized.
Yeah.
And this is, it's not kind of organized, but there's a lot of information out there scattered, need to be collected, organized and used. So how we can do this?
So this, we will have to use all three models. Say about 1/4 of the time, we will have to use that. Maybe about one little more than 1/4 will have to be this problem. And slightly less than 50% of the time will be there. Because there is so much that is being discussed, which is being thought about. And just as there are bad websites, there are also good websites. Huh? There are not only, doesn't matter if he is not an artist. There might still be some good things that person. So then, I don't think it is wrong if our younger people start looking and bring those things to the class and say, hey, so I think one thing we will have to do is that we will have to do the curriculum because somebody is sitting in some department somewhere and writing curriculum. Like I know in Anna University's curriculum. Like something. I don't know what do you think. But everywhere, the curriculum is overextended. So all of us teachers have to first of all become conscious of this and fight at every level to reduce the curricular content. Because that is now available just so easily. There is no need to teach each and every little thing. Huh? So that is one. But secondly, while that curriculum is, but at least a quick training to connect to that knowledge has to be there. So that's why I said about 20% of our time or 25% can be at private class. Then the other learning is that tacit knowledge, which when the student is working at there and there, and I am also learning about the whole. I am learning how structure. I am learning something. So I am like that's it. A challenging thing. I used to have one teacher who used to teach maths, but I was secondary school. So if you asked him, sir, this problem, how to solve it? Well, there is a textbook, and nobody knew how to do it. So he said, oh, it's very simple. Just hold on, I have to go and see so and so. I'm coming back in 10 minutes. You go outside, look it up or solve it. Then you'll come back and say, what was the question? Then you send the question. And then, no, you see, the answer is this. And actually, the steps are like this. We go back just to impress you. Yeah. We don't need to do that. But we need to create that forum where we say, okay, let's sit down together. Can we, as far as I am concerned, proportion 1:2, that's this, 1:1, that's this. Let's draw it, let's draw it. Right? So my teacher Varki used to say, look, if you don't know anything about proportion, use squares. Because there is always no proportion right. So, but something like that will happen in that 25, 30%. And in this 50%, there will be assignments where we will put the assignment in such a way that the subject matter which is being worked with will be attacked. then they will go. In fact, this thing was started when I was in fourth year. I'm talking now that about 1973. Huh? In 73, Professor C.V. Shah was my teacher. He started, otherwise he was known as a very strict teacher of building construction. And he would make us draw and draw. And suddenly, that year, he said, no, no, it's not right. He said, I'll give you the topic. All of you prepare the thing in groups of 3. You prepare it, bring it in class, we will discuss it. And the whole thing was, it became our responsibility to put that knowledge across. And we really realized how this is a wonderful thing and how difficult it is that that teacher is doing. So all these kids, they, all you kids, are not allowed to say that nowadays. It is not permitted. In fact, you're not allowed to call them kids at all. They are fully adult. So anyway, right. Yeah, so we'll have to allocate our time into this kind of activity. Giving assignments which help them attack the problem to the challenge. I have a question. Although I'm not a teacher. They talk about we're talking about practice and theory. You've spoken a lot, and I think it's a lot about the theory of doing things practically, but the practice of doing it practically also would be nice, because I think some examples on how this can actually be done in class. How can we make the difficult, because many of us have set ways in which how we do things. How do you break out and do something suddenly very different and introduce new things? So I feel that the imagination of the person who is running the studio or person rather is really important. So for example, I will give you 2 or 3 examples. Years ago, Doshi ran one first year studio. He said, oh, I want to teach first year. So, okay, he was called. And he and Sam were very careful also. So she was assisting him. And they, in the first year, Doshi gave a project, design a house for yourself and your wild pet. What is a wild pet? If suppose I have a lion as a pet, or I have a cobra as a pet, or I have a bear as a pet. So I cannot be near that and if that thing will eat me if I that problem the students really enjoy, because this is like design a house so we'll get anything, but design a house for yourself and your wild pet. And it was the hilarious studio. To the extent that one student, he had taken a lion and himself. He also himself looked a bit like a lion. So anyway, he was there. I had this very sort of teacher quality. He asked him, is it an African lion or is it an Indian lion? So this boy there and said, Madam, how will the lion know whether he is African or Indian? Lion is lion. And the thing I had to accept, shut up, you are the wrong question. That is one. Some years ago, I ran one studio at Ganga. In that, I made an imaginary island. Actually, it was a map of Madagascar, but I didn't tell them that it is Madagascar. So in that imaginary island, there was a string of mountains like that. On one side, the sea. On the second side, the sea. Water going down this way very fast. Water going down this way. Or no, very fast. This time, very slowly. It's like Western Ghats. Western Ghats are like that. And then there were 5 towns. So we gave names. So there was one town called Mobi, another town was or something. Anyway, some strange names to the island and to the towns. Then we said, these are few people who are in the forest, they are animal hunters and all that. They settled down. So 5, 10 families are settling down. Then we said, no, town is growing. Then town is growing. Then town is growing. So within 3 weeks, it had become a huge town. Some 2000 years had gone. Then we said, now you select one institution of man. You can't talk about the institutions of man. And design one institution of man. So it is the institution of learning, it is the institution of something, it is the institution of well-being, etc. Each student will come. And then they started designing. And in that I said, you are not to design anything. You have to collect plans of old buildings, cut them, and by using the collage tools, you are going to make it. So it was very easy for them. Straight away they started you cut. And I tell you the project. Go enjoy it. Every student's work was somehow fantastic. So where the imagination and collected knowledge come together. We have to design our studio in such a way that things will come together. So our studio project has to be something that excites the student. Now, what excites us is different from what excites them. So either we have to have a spy on that age who goes and find out if there is a fact, this is what. Or we have to become like that for some time. And that's easy. Actually, secretly, I can be 20 years old. I can start speaking like that, I can start behaving like that. In public, I will be scared of behaving. I won't show myself like that. But secretly, I can just what fun it is to become that 20-year-old girl. Yeah, or 20-year-old boy. If I do that, then I'm able to enter the psyche of high school. And once I have entered, then I can design a program which they will enjoy. Then they say, what is this plan? They look up the internet. They look at all this the internet for that. And nowadays they get something. So the moment they get something from the internet, I will again throw it off by putting one more challenge. And like that, we keep on developing as a contest between me and my student. Right, right. No, it's good. They should tell us from time to time. Okay. Otherwise, these old people will keep on speaking years. They never get tired of talking. They only get tired of walking.
So the students also can enter.
Yeah, actually asking some question. Yes. You are saying like this.
Students can also enter into the filing of literature.
Yeah. Students can Definitely, what they go better. But in their free time, they talk as if so and so teacher. You know, whoever is the teacher who is hated the most, they will talk like that person.
I cannot promise it.
Yeah.
So how do you see this artificial intelligence into our pedagogy as well as from the learning side of the students? You're not sure whether you're really learning the things.
See, most of the intelligence up to now has also been artificial, mostly. Huh? Last 10 years, mostly people have said,
Why? Because initially when you begin with that the imagination is also part of mind.
yeah,
And to some extent, artificial intelligence is really killing the imagination part of especially design and architecture.
but suppose one imagines that intelligence for humanity is now centered in two sectors. In my brain, sends something to that machine. It sends something to my brain. It sends something to the machine. Together, will there be, I'm just asking a question, that maybe we are at that point in time when the idea that it is my imagination will have to go. And then it will be like in this room, there is a ghost. So many telephones, yeah, which are speaking. So many minds which are thinking. And out of that, suppose we suddenly start saying, now let us, each one of us makes a certain sound. Huh? Do you agree with that? Please? Like I said, you also do some other stuff. It's okay. All younger people will be easier. They'll feel less shy about it. The older people will feel very shy. Can we do that?
That's the really
Yeah. So. Now, artificial intelligence might be doing something like this in time to come. And I'm looking at really young children who are able to get into this really fast. If you've seen a 2 or 3 year old guy, and how they are able to get into it. And they sit there and they are lost in that world where they are seeing some monsters and things, and with nothing, with some speck of paper. So artificial intelligence, we should not be afraid of it, nor should we start saying, wow, now this is fantastic, it saves time. If it saves time, don't use it. As long as it can waste time, use it. Don't you tell you this, right? That wasting time is a good thing. But the students know it very well. Wasting time is very good. Don't you agree? Huh?
Yes.
Or you are all, no, I'm asking younger people. They all think, oh, no, I cannot agree in front of all teachers that wasting time is good. So they are all sitting here. Until they look at me and say, no, wasting time is good or bad? So, okay, let me put it slightly. Slow is better or fast? Slow is better. Why?
Like everything is running.
But if I'm playing tennis, then the faster I can set back the ball, the better it is, no? So the teacher sent me one volume and I took. Teacher said, "Oh, good." And then I said, teacher, helpless. If I fast, but one of the things that can happen in speed is that the response is immediate, which means it is based on muscular intelligence, which is built up over a long period of time. But slow is good because slow. I don't think you cook rice. Right? Anybody else cook rice? Right. So you cook rice very fast. I have a rice cooker which takes good rice and cook in about 1.5 hours. Slow, slow. It tell me the taste of the rice. Just impossible to get in the past. When the pressure cooker, I make it in 10 minutes. Of the given style. Yeah. So speed does not value. Slow also. Right? Everything which is slow has certain depth. Everything which is fast has a certain quality of immediacy. Both of them are useful. In fact, in life only, don't say this is good, that is bad, this is good, this is bad. Just say sometimes this might be useful. So, as teachers also, I mean, what you have to give some assignment, which will be so boring. Then they not and in the other way, needs to teach. So the first
அப்படியே புடிங்கிட்டான் சார் சரி போடவே இல்லை சார்ஜர் சார்ஜர் அவங்க புடிங்கி விட்டுருந்தாங்க
I remember I had one. We had in both called the move pen. How we put something not what is the pen. But we had a move pen. Both of them, there were two names like that. And before a drop of anything, and by opening that little, you will get
பேக்ல வச்சிருக்கீங்களா
But if you are not careful, not skilled, and then not you will come up in a fail. Now, this teacher is able to get some drawings. The section of the entire class of tests. With every shoulder, with brick mortar line is two line. And it's a vertical line also is two line. And it wants to be done on hard paper because it is a way of tracing you cannot with a blade. But a fabrication you cannot done. I think we went almost back. And then I had done this working out ready. But I used to come by bicycle from my uncle's house where I was staying. And his parents were teacher was also coming, but the same he also on the bicycle and rain fell. When my drawing was completely became back. So I didn't think
I don't know, let me give a given to so I think when you have more something like I don't make it you that if you are place I would take walking for and if the well that's fine. So teachers will do that. They're supposed to do. That's supposed to make you do and 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 do. If you are right? Right. Because of that, you made that muscle memory. It is there that now I can know anytime without thinking at all. I don't need to think. I never think. So some things I have to learn that. Other things make me the same big problem. You're right. You're right. You know, how what things should be done. But I can more. And I really that is that so we after that we will do that. So don't worry. Later, you are supposed to complete, you are supposed to shout, you are supposed to be happy, they are supposed to be happy, they are supposed to be happy. You are all human beings. Sometimes you miss a thing, sometimes you do not. But then what is the difference between practice and play? In theory, you just listen there in the and put them together in such a way that others will do that. But in practice, you are coming for a review. You don't have a challenge. And the teacher must have the capacity to take up the challenge of practice. And I do it for you. And what we do is for the first time, you will become a reliable educator. And then again, the teacher will challenge the self. And then again, the teacher. And this relationship is practically experience. Is differentiated to one human being. So there is no such thing in as experience and people. And there is no such thing as practicing people. There is only thing. The practitioner who has come to the and the theoretician who has been trained. Both with open up their mind. So in fact, the both people of this topic we are going to think about what we learn. It's not only about practice and theory. It is about what we learn. Learning is something you do today. So you cannot teach, you cannot tell how to write the answer. You cannot teach so how to write the answer. But you cannot show how to do your school. You have to be encouraged how to do it. Because that's the thing that you are doing. So we just go and get everything in a 4 days. But if I only zero, then I have to invent the number of them. And that is the practical is what is the feeling of numbers? People the all numbers only all numbers. One G 5 7 then there is suddenly also any challenge. But the error number will have to be. Yes, the challenge for yourself, what the all games are an increment of the challenge of the. That's why we enjoy games. We wouldn't enjoy games if they were always playing the ball that we look out and no, you throw the ball in the and I will challenge. Never do what all in the so your guts is all in the so there's some of the reflection. So we make the final answer so that you know yourself when telling yourself and you're from the software.
In question paper now, video clips. Ready.
Thank you, Professor Chhaya, for the insightful session.
Hey,
Anyway,
hey.
thank you. Associate Professor Rajaratnam, School of Architecture. Take note of the closing statement.
Very close to the because of the
அடுத்தது வா சொல்றியா அப்படி போய் வா வீடியோ எடுத்தாங்க இவங்க இங்க வந்து வீடியோ தேவை
I'm learning science for after many years. College science, privileged to be and to start to have this entire group of capacity students from those connected with other people. I think today was a nice day of revival in terms of helping us to rethink what we do in the classroom and how we engage with each other. Whether we are teachers or the source of knowledge or people seeking knowledge or whatever we may be, how we engage with each other, how we engage with whatever modalities are given with us and to artificial beings.
Yes.
And these relationships and these ways in which we transfer this excitement and knowledge of the others. So thank you so much, sir, and all of us. And a quick note of thank you to the institution as well for the Ethos for this. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you all for joining us, and we look forward to seeing you in the next session. Please wait for 5 minutes while we distribute the certificate and take a group photo. Or yeah, before that, we would definitely like to have a small function called Chhaya. We have a special gift for you from NGR. Yeah, so ma'am, you can
போட்டோ நல்லா எடுப்போம் நீங்க போ நல்லா அந்த சைடு எடுத்துறியா கிளாஸ் ஆன் பண்ண